I'm delighted to say that it is Dan Gill, Global Head of Business Development and Compliance at Redbridge Debt and Treasury Advisory. Dan, an old friend of Treasury Dragons, please come to the stage. I'm now going to shut up, for which everyone will be hugely grateful. Dan, the floor, for the next 10 minutes at least, is yours.
Oh, I like the at least part. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Gill. I work for Redbridge Analytics, which is the technology arm of Redbridge Debt and Treasury Advisory. I've had a rather interesting treasury career. For the past 24 years, I've worked with hundreds of the world's largest companies, focused exclusively on managing bank fees, bank account management in the software space. And I'm happy to be here today to show you the flagship of our treasury suite of modules, HawkeyeBSB. It's a purpose-built, browser-based, SaaS-delivered software solution that will give you complete mastery over your bank relationships and will turn you into a treasury superhero by giving you several key abilities that you don't have today. HawkeyeBSB will allow you once and for all to tame the dragons of bank fees. So quickly about Redbridge, we're a global debt and treasury advisory firm with more than 20 years of experience delivering expert advice to corporate treasury departments. One of the things that makes us unique is that we're also a software company. We build specialized software to give Treasury detailed insights into the Treasury operations based on our experience gained through countless engagements with some of the world's largest companies. We are both a technology and advisory firm. We don't just dabble in Treasury, we focus on the specific areas of Treasury and finance where we have deep expertise. So let's get into talking about bank fees. One of the things that I believe is missing from the approach that is typically taken to bank fees is an understanding that it's really a two-part process. And I use the analogy of cleaning your house. The first thing I need to do, let's say in the spring, I need to do a really deep cleaning. And this needs to happen about every 3 to 5 years. And in order to do that, the first thing I need to be able to do is detailed benchmarking to the market. I need to be able to compare what I'm paying my banks for what services to the market of those, not just my other banks, but the actual market. I need to go through an exercise to rationalize and optimize my bank accounts, my services. I need to understand the wallet size, who's getting what of my business from my banks, do RAROC analysis, and then I need to do a structured negotiation, whether that's a bilateral negotiation or a full RFP. And that needs to happen probably every 3 to 5 years to get good, fixed, long-term pricing so that I know what to expect and I can forecast into the future. But then comes the real challenge, and that is that I need to keep things clean in the meantime. I refer to that as sort of the monthly housekeeping. And in order to do that, I need to be able to monitor things, and I need several abilities that otherwise I wouldn't have available if I'm doing this manually. I need accessibility to the bank fee statements in an electronic standard. I need visibility into everything that goes on in my cash management engine. If you think about those bank fee statements, it's usually the last thing that I get from my banks each month. And it's a great summary of everything that went on, not only from a cost perspective, but also from volumes and prices, and a great way to just evaluate what's going on. And then, of course, we know survey after survey shows that bank fees globally are in error between 7 and 10%. If I don't find those errors, I'm paying too much. And I need to be able to do a detailed audit of those every single month. So I've worked with more than 500 companies working to gain control of bank fees. And time again, I've seen a treasury analyst become the superhero of their team by being the one that conquers bank fees. You just need some specific superhero abilities from HawkeyeBSB in order to do that. Because do you know what happens when you're the one that saves your company $500,000, $1 million, $5 million or euros on bank fees? You are the hero. So let's talk about HawkeyeBSB. And I'm gonna go over and share the system with you just so that you can see this. So HawkeyeBSB is based on the ability, or these key abilities that we give you to help you fully understand everything. That starts with what we refer to as accessibility. Accessibility, I kind of refer to it as the boring technical part. I need to receive all of this information from each of my banks. There's usually a mass of it. You know, we heard stacks measured in feet sometimes. And so I need to do that in a quick and electronic way. The good news is that the banking industry has come together and developed several industry standard file formats that allow a bank anywhere in the world to deliver a bank fee statement that is currency, location, country independent. And in fact, Redbridge chairs the CGI working group that governs the most modern format, which is known as the ISO 20022 camped.086 file, if you're taking notes. But that is an important part, that there is this dedicated standard, and many banks can deliver it to us. As the data comes in whatever format that the bank is delivering it to us, Hawkeye BSB also enriches the information with customized, what we refer to as tags, so that I can see the information in a way that is customized to my organization. One of the most important tags, though, is what's known as the AFP codes. Now, I've been a part of the AFP and the AFP code committee since 2001, and I refer to the AFP codes as the genius and the nightmare of bank fees. They're genius because at the end of the day, what an AFP code does is it gives me the ability to compare an apple at one bank to an apple at another bank. And that is simply essential because banks don't call things the same way. So if I'm going to aggregate and do things like tell you how much I'm spending on ACHs or electronic funds transfers around the world or in a particular country or at a particular bank, I need to have all of those mapped the same way. The problem is that traditionally we've asked exactly the wrong two people to associate the AFP codes to services. We either ask somebody in the bank who has no access to other bank services to figure out which of the thousands of AFP codes to attach to the thousands of their services. And you know what? They're only right about 40% of the time. They would almost do better flipping a coin. And when we get frustrated with what the banks have sent us, then it falls to you. And honestly, most Treasury professionals have neither the time nor the experience to map bank codes. So one of the things that we focused on a lot is totally fixing that problem. So when the services come in, we actually at the bank level map every single service to a hyper accurate AFP code. In fact, the AFP outsources the mapping of AFP codes from the banks to Redbridge. And now AFP is releasing a new set of codes for 2020 with a number of additions and revisions. And in fact, Redbridge chairs the AFP code update committee. That is what gives me the key to visibility of my bank fees. Now, we give you visibility through a lot of graphs and a lot of ways to automatically drill in and see what's going on and change the way I look at different things so that I can get quick and easy access. This graph here, where I started looking at my AFP codes and then drilling into banks, by changing the lenses and drilling in and out, I can literally ask and answer a million different questions. Finally, my last ability that we have to have, since we're going to detect errors that we must find, is what we refer to as accountability. By doing that, we take a baseline of everything that we expect to see from the banks, and we audit every single element of every single statement to make sure that we're getting what we agreed to and that we can automatically report back to the bank the errors that we detected. So that's the really high level Hawkeye BSB, and I look forward to your questions.
Thanks very much for that, Dan. And I'm now going to invite dragons onto the stage. So let's start with Cara. You've popped up first, so let's come to you first. What did you think of what you saw from Dan and from Redbridge? And do you have any questions for Dan?
Dan, that was brilliant. I had no idea that errors could be as high as 10%. Fascinating. How would your software help me reduce my bank fee costs other than spotting these errors and going back to the bank every month? Can it show me how I can work differently to save changes in that way?
Yeah, so the one thing that we do is that we want every moment that you spend in the system to be an analytical moment, not one dealing with files. So the first thing is that we completely take that mess of files off your hands to make you more streamlined. The other thing that we do is when we detect the errors, right, there's many categories of errors we detect, we automatically send those off to the bank so that they're in their hands without you having to go through all the talk back and forth. We're trying to streamline it as much as possible.
Oh, you're on mute, Mike.
Thanks for that, Dan. We'll move on as quickly as possible. Andy, can I get a question from you for Dan?
Yeah, so again, great, Dan. I'm looking forward to being a superstar, even if it requires a piece of software for me to get to that stage. But just a quick question for you. If I have a relationship with a bank and we have an agreed fee structure, does your software allow you to match the actual charges to an agreed fee structure?
Yes, in fact, that's one of the things, that accountability section that I showed you. The first thing that we do when we're implementing the system is we build the detailed fee structure for every bank, every region into the system, and that's what gives us our baseline for audit.
And does that include things like if you've got an agreed FX margin on trades, or you've got an agreed card charge margin?
Boy, that is a great question. It's not typically FX fees, although I would love it to be. Sometimes we see things like custody fees and investment fees, but I've yet to see a bank reporting FX fees to us at this point.
Really interesting. Dan, thanks for answering those. Estella and Jamie, I can see you have questions in the questions field. We are going to get to those when we get all of our presenters back at the end of the session. And David and Royston, I promise you you'll get your chance in just a moment, but we need to push forward